Hey guys, Tomatometer here. Alright, now here I am with another review of a Marvel stinker. And now here I am with a review for The Punisher. So, this is a film that I really haven't seen all that much. I mean, I have watched it like a couple of times. Like, when this movie has come on, like, TV and stuff, like, I have just sort of like flipped the channels and just have seen it all on. And I've like just kind of like glanced at it. Like I've kind of like watched parts of it, but I've never like actually like sat down and watched the whole thing. So yeah, this is the first time that I actually have like sat down and actually watched the entire movie. And gosh, I don't know. I mean, I just really don't really know what to think about this film. I mean, I don't really know if I can really say it is a good film or a bad film. Because yeah, it just seems like just like a film that is just absolutely like half and half. Like there's some stuff that's good about it, some stuff that really isn't, and just yeah, it's just like scattered all over the place throughout this film. I mean, I don't really think that this film is really absolutely awful. Awful. Like it's not like it's not like Daredevil bad, but yeah, it's not like any sort of like masterpiece like the films of like Marvel's films now. So yeah, I just really don't know whether or not to really give this film a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I mean, yeah, I haven't actually read any Punisher comics, so I don't really know like how closely this film does follow the comics at all. But yeah, I guess like just it is like I guess a an all right film. I guess I'll just use all right. I mean, yeah, this was actually the second time that the Punisher was actually put in film. Like this is the second time the Punisher, a film. Oh, gosh, like I'm getting so tongue tied here. This is the second time that a Punisher film has been made. The first Punisher film came out in like the '80s sometime, which I have never actually seen, but I've heard that it really is not very good. And so yeah, and this film appears to be like better than that one. It seems from based on like reviews from critics and audiences and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, this film still seems to like kind of have like a mixed reaction from people. Like Rotten Tomatoes, the score on the Tomatometer is like 29%, but a good chunk of audiences seem to like the film just fine. So yeah, not really just a horrible film, but I guess like this film just really wasn't a very big hit when it came out. Yeah, this film was released in 2004. It was the same year that Spider-Man 2 was released, and even like Blade Trinity also did come out that year as well. Well, so yeah, and you might remember I just reviewed Blade Trinity, and I said I really wasn't too big on that film. So I don't know. I guess this overall is like a better film than Blade Trinity, but definitely not on Spider-Man 2's level at all. So yeah, this film was, I guess, interesting. Like, I really like the Punisher. Like, he's not really like a character from Marvel that people like immediately really do think of when they think of Marvel characters. But yeah, his symbol, of course, is really recognizable. Of course, like Punisher has like the white skull on like the black shirt. So yeah, of course, like Punisher has like a very recognizable symbol and stuff. Yeah, and yeah, so I do like recognize the Punisher symbol, but I don't really like know like all that much like about the actual Punisher character in general. Like I didn't actually like know really what his powers really were and what he really did do and stuff. And then like it just like throughout this film like shows that really the Punisher is like a he's like a vigilante that really just like takes out any sort of, well, he like has a campaign against crime and just like he was kind of like motivated to become the Punisher after the deaths of his family. So I guess it is kind of like a similar origin to like characters like Batman and Spider-Man, and yeah, characters like that, characters that lost their family and just like you're basically like just become heroes to just prevent like anything like that from happening to anybody else. So yeah, the Punisher like has like that kind of origin. Yeah, and the performances overall in this film, I guess they are like decent enough. Like this film has a cast like it stars Tom Jane as the Punisher. It also has John Travolta, Will Patton, Rebecca Romaine, Ben Foster, er, and yeah, it also like features a Roy Scheider in this film as well. Oh, so yeah, and the cast I guess is like a decent enough. I mean, there aren't any performances that really do truly stand out from this film, but I mean, they're it's not like horrible where it's just like so boring that you can't really actually enjoy anything from the film. So yeah, I guess the performances in the film are just fine, and I mean, this film, it really is like a mixed bag. Like I said, I mean, there are good things about it and there are bad things. Like the story overall is actually like pretty decent. Like it basically is like I said, it basically is just a uh, origin story for the Punisher. Or yeah, this film is actually like the story was like based on like the two Punisher comic stories, Year One and Welcome Back Frank, and from the comics. So yeah, so this film is like basically like based on those two stories from the comics. Yeah, I've never actually read them, so I don't actually like know like how well this follows it. But yeah, Wikipedia says that this film does actually is like mainly based on those two stories in the comics. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, this film for a comic book film, it is pretty violent. Like I mean, just there are a lot of deaths in this movie, and it actually is pretty violent. Like you do see like some blood in the film, and it just is like very very violent, especially for this time. I mean, I don't like there are some violence in like some more recent comic book films like this. Like Logan did have some pretty graphic deaths, and even like a Deadpool, the two Deadpool films have like had some graphic material in them as well. But yeah, here at this time, there really weren't comic book films that really did have this. So yeah, this really just seemed like pretty extreme for a comic book film at the time. Yes, there were a lot of deaths in this film that really did have me like cringing, and even like just some brutality in it in general that really did have me cringing, especially. Yeah, I mean, just yeah, I just really like didn't really seem to really expect this for the time. I mean, I guess like it probably is to be expected by a lot of people if they actually do know the Punisher character very well. But me personally, I really didn't know too much about the character, so this really wasn't what I was really actually expecting to see. So yeah, I was just thinking like it was just going to be like some sort of action film with just the Punisher in action. But yeah, it really did take a different turn with it. While he was in action, it also like just showed how violent he could be. So yeah, but overall, just I really don't know whether or not to give this film a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It just seems to be just a just a film that is just completely split right down the middle. So I don't really know whether or not to call it good or bad. Yeah, so a very pretty much middle down the road film. So I don't know. I guess I would give it like 2.5 stars out of 4. Just yeah, completely just like right down the middle. Just yeah, it's pretty much like just like a thumbs in the middle film. I really don't know whether or not I could really recommend it or not. Just if you're interested enough, I guess it is worth a watch. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they could have. Yeah, they probably could have like done much better with the film. I don't know if maybe like the violence in this film is just too much. Maybe if they actually did like cut off the violence, maybe this would actually have been a more successful film. I don't know. I think maybe just like maybe probably since like the violence kind of like could go overboard in the film. Maybe that's why like some a lot of people were really kind of hard on as hard as they were on this film. I don't know what the deal is, why I'm having so much trouble talking tonight, but yeah, just yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are probably some scenes that are very like pretty kind of do go overboard in the film, but I mean, it's not like this really was intended for kids. I mean, this really is an R-rated film. I guess like this film is kind of like more geared to adults, but I don't know. Maybe they just felt that had even for adults this got kind of overboard because yeah, there's like the scene where he like kills that guy by like placing a knife right in his throat, and you actually see like the blood gushing everywhere and stuff. And yeah, there are like some other deaths like that where it actually is pretty bloody and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's probably like the main. Well, one of the big flaws with the film is like it could probably get overly violent at times, but the story itself I do think is actually pretty decent. So yeah, so overall a decent, an all right film with a good story, but kind of like doesn't really always know its limitations. So, yeah, I guess that's the best way I can really put it. Okay, so yeah, I think I've gone on enough about that. So let me just talk about the premise of the film. All right. So as the film opens up, it's like showing that there's some sort of like smuggle going on in Tampa Bay. And it then leads to two members of a gang, Bobby Saint, as well as the arms dealer, Otto Krieg, being shot down and presumed dead. And but then it's like ends up being revealed that Otto Krieg is really actually Frank Castle, who's actually an undercover FBI agent and a veteran of the Delta Force, and it shows that this is actually like his final mission before he goes off into retirement. Yeah, and as they were celebrating in Frank's retirement, and it then like showed that Bobby's father Howard, who is actually the ma- mafia boss, he's like very enraged about the death of his son. And then over time, then he like learns about who Otto Craig really is, and that he does learn that he is Frank Castle. And then yeah, then he ordered his mafia to hunt down on Castle and kill him, and his wife Livia also demanded that his entire family be killed as well. And so then, at a family reunion for Frank's family, which included like his wife and son in Puerto Rico, so they as they were celebrating, it also showed how Frank's son also like had like the black shirt with the white skull on it, which he gave to Frank, and then and Howard Saint's men, which included like Quentin Glass as well as John, who was Bobby's identical twin brother, they ended up gunning down Frank's entire family, and also ended up killing his wife and son when they were trying to escape. And then they ended up also shooting down Frank as well, and then they just beat him down to death, and well, were trying to beat him down, and then and they tried to kill him by actually like causing a fire by a dock. But yeah, the impact of like just the explosion of a fire just blasted Frank back into the water, and then he ended up being found by a local fisherman who took him in and just nursed him back to health. Yeah. And then over time, then after Frank recuperated, then he moved into like a abandoned apartment which was occupied by like three different outcasts. Joan, played by Rebecca Romaine, which I thought was interesting that Rebecca Romaine was in this movie because yeah, this was also like during the same time that she was playing Mystique in the X-Men films. So yeah, I thought it was interesting to see her like in this film, like in another Marvel Marvel film. So yeah, another Marvel based film, I guess I'll say. Yeah. So it was interesting to see her here. Yeah, but anyway. And there was her as well um as a Bumpo, who was played by John Panette, and Dave, played by Ben Foster. And then then Frank just was then just taking it in his hands to take down all the Saints and his men. Yeah. And after he ended up, Frank ended up um catching one of the Saints' associates, Mickey Duca, or Duca, yeah, something like that. Yeah, he then ended up getting some answers out of him by just tricking him to threatening to burn him and stuff. He was pretending that he was gonna burn his back. Then it would just feel so cold at first, and it would smell like burning meat. And what he was doing was he was actually taking fire to actual meat, and then just placing a popsicle on his back, which was kind of funny. Yeah, and then he then learned more about the Saint family and their every move. Yeah, yeah, and then over time, Frank learned that Glass was actually a closeted homosexual, and then he then was starting to attack Saint's business, and at one point, he just actually infiltrated his work building, and then just demanded a couple of his workers to just throw money out the window to people. And eventually, Saint discovered that Frank was still alive, and then just sent assassins out to kill him. And then there was one assassin, Harry Heck, that then ambushed Frank on a bridge. But then Frank ended up killing him when he like launched a knife into his throat, and like I said, the blood just gushed everywhere and immediately killed him. And then, and eventually, then another assassin then and set out to kill Frank, which was the Russian who in this film was actually played by Kevin Nash. Yeah, and then it just showed the Russian was just beating the hell out of Frank and it almost killed him. But then after they got it spilled over to Joan Bumpo and Dave's apartment, then Frank ended up killing the Russian by just dousing his face in boiling oil and then just knocking him down a flight of stairs, breaking his neck. Yeah, and then eventually, John Glass and Saint's other goons then arrived to try to find Frank, and then they captured Dave and Bumpo, and they were trying to get it out of them where Frank's location was, but they weren't talking even after Glass actually did pull out one of Dave's piercings with pliers. Yeah, and as they were then leaving, they left one of their guys to just wait for Frank and intercept him, but then Frank ended up killing him immediately after they left. Yeah. And then, with help from Mickey, then Frank then and came up with a plan to just to get rid of some of Saint's other associates, which then he had a Glass be at somewhere else to pose as an anonymous blackmailer, and he also planted Livia's car in the same place, and then Frank then also then arrived at Glass's house, and then he actually ended up placing one of Livia's earrings in Glass's bed and then Saint came and saw the earring there, and then that caused him to believe that Livia and Glass were actually having an affair together, and then Saint confronted a Glass about it and then killed him by just stabbing him to death. And then when Livia then arrived, then he questioned her about it, and then he took her to a railroad track and then just threw her onto the railroad and then caused her to get run over by a train, which it was I thought it was kind of funny, when Saint threw Livia over a bridge, they added in that famous women screaming noise. Ah! I just found that to be kind of funny that they put that in there. Yeah, Yeah, and it didn't actually like show Olivia after she got run over by the train. It just showed like the train just riding over her and stuff. So yeah, so yeah, nothing gory there, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. And then eventually, then Frank then arrived at Saints Club with the yeah. He was also like, of course, like now wearing the shirt from his son. Yeah. Then he then and raided Saints Club and then just killed all the members of his mob, which included John. And then, yeah, Saint then, like, he did survive, though he was really wounded. And then he tried to escape, but then Frank pursued him and then just shot him down in a duel. And then, as he was then starting to die, then Frank then revealed to Saint that he was the one that came up with the scheme that led him to kill his led Saint to kill Glass and Livia, yeah, and then Frank then just tied Saint to the leading car. Well, a car that was actually heading toward a car park that was filled with explosives, and then yeah, then just showed then the car then just ramming into the other cars, and then the cars all then just exploded. And cleverly enough, then it just like showed from like a very high aerial angle. It showed like all the explosions, then just like made up the Punisher logo. Yeah, made up the skull. Yeah, which was pretty cool. Yeah, and then yeah, after then Frank then returned home. With his mission then now completed, then he was then just felt that he was about to kill himself, but then after he saw a vision of his wife, then he changed his mind, decided to live, and then he just decided to just continue to go out to fight crime as the Punisher. And then he just left Joan, Dave, and Bumpo some hum of Saint's money as a farewell gift to thank them for protecting him. And then it just ended with him like on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge and just he stated, "Those who do evil to others, the killers, the rapists, psychos, sadists, you will come to know me. Frank Castle is dead. Call me the Punisher." And then that's how the film ended, and then it cut to credits. But I thought it was interesting, like, when the credits started, like, they actually played, like, the song Step Up, which was the theme song for WrestleMania 20, so I thought that was interesting. So, yeah. So, like I said, a very, right down the middle of the road type of movie. I mean, yeah, it's not, like, great, but it's not terrible. So, yeah, it's just, like a very mixed bag. Like it probably is like overly violent, but it doesn't really tell like a bad story. I think the story is actually told pretty well, and the performances I think are just fine. I mean, not like outstanding or anything, but they could have been like much worse. So yeah, like I said, a very a middle down the road film. Just I really don't know whether or not to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So I'm just very mixed on it. So it's just like a thumbs in the middle film. Like I said, 2.5 stars out of 4. Yeah, as I said before, just I really don't know whether or not to recommend it. Just if you like Punisher, you may like the film. And if you don't, I don't really know. It just if you're interested enough, I guess it is worth a watch. Just I really don't really know. Just it's no masterpiece, but there are it's definitely like not the worst thing in the world ever. So yeah, like I said, they probably could have done better with it, but for what it is, it's an alright film, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I guess since this film really wasn't a big hit, once Marvel actually got a Punisher back, they did the same thing they did with Daredevil, and they have made a Netflix series of it now. So yeah, like just like Daredevil, I really haven't actually watched any of the Netflix series. I may actually like give it a watch sometime to see how much better it like portrays Punisher than this film does. So yeah, and yeah, now since like with the Daredevil and Punisher Netflix series actually like being like part of the MCU. I mean, could like Daredevil and Punisher actually like be integrated into the MCU film sometime, and we'll actually get to see them in the movies portrayed by the actors that do play them in the Netflix series. But I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, I don't really know like which new characters will now be introduced into the MCU for the next generation. I guess it would be nice to see Daredevil and Punisher actually be in the movies. And could it ever happen? I mean, only time will tell. Alright, so yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about it. Alright, so I guess that's it for my review of The Punisher. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.